reset. It's time to stop pretending, start living. So if you're tired of second guessing yourself, feeling stuck despite your best efforts, and living a life that looks fine but feels wrong, this 5-day experience will show you what's really been holding you back and how to finally reset. Before we begin, let's cover some housekeeping items and reminders. If you're watching live, participate. Give this time the focus you deserve. Doug has a gift for changing the course of one's life in a single statement. So pay attention for your benefit. You'll be glad you did. If you're watching the replay, chime in and comment so we know you're with us and participate fully. Be sure to join the WhatsApp community for announcements and reminders. Bookmark the portal page. Everything you need is in one place. We will post the portal link on WhatsApp. Join our Facebook group. That's where all the action steps for each day will be posted. Participate in the challenges and action steps. You'll have a chance to win prizes. Connect with other people from all around the world. Connect with our reset guides. They are there to support you and help you. So feel free to reach out to them. Now check your inbox and junk, spam folders, the promotions tab for emails that will have all the links you need for the portal, the WhatsApp, and the Facebook group. Each day we will post the replay and an action step on the portal, which will take you to the Facebook group. Now, before I introduce you to Doug Dane, I had the pleasure of working with Doug one-on-one in the fall of 2025. At that time, I was really struggling. I found myself second guessing everything, and I was feeling really stuck, even though on the outside, things look pretty good. Working with him has been an incredible journey. He helped me see what was really holding me back and gave me a way to reset. Since then, I've been able to move through life in a much more calmer, more confident way, handling challenges with more ease. So, with that in mind, let me properly introduce the man behind this work. Doug Dane is a survivor of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse who turned his trauma into a mission, helping others stop hiding and start living. Now an international keynote speaker, mentor, and influencer. He's developed a proven system to help people release guilt and shame, let go of their past, and live in freedom. Doug believes you don't need to struggle in life because you were mistreated when you were young. Through his books, speeches, and mentoring, he inspires others to overcome adversity and rewrite their relationship with their story. Doug's work is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of living from your true identity. So let's get started and bring on Doug.
Doug is here.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, hi, hi. How are you? Thank you, Nancy. Lovely, our hostess with the mostest in red. Nancy's a wonderful person, and I've known her for a while, and I always got the chance to work with her as a client as well. And I asked Nancy if she would uh, open up every day here for us. So thanks for coming. I'm actually looking over at my other computer here. Wave. I see people. In the chat here. I wish you could actually wave virtually. Maybe you can wave with your little emoji or something like that. I'm not sure how that works. But first off, where are you coming in from? I see people typing in a few. Germany, I saw. Tell me where you're coming from. Where do you live? Where are you from? Let's see what we got coming in here today. There's a bit of a delay on the broadcast, so it may take a minute for it to come up. Let's see who is here and where are you from? Thanks for all the love. It's a good start. You haven't heard from me yet, and you're already giving me love, which is great. Which is really cool too. About 75% of you are brand new. I've brand new to our email list, so I know that you're brand new to talking to me or hearing from me or working with me. Maybe you've heard of me online or something like that, but I'm so grateful that all of you are here. But it's always great to meet new people. So. What do we got? Netherlands, England, Holland, Canada. Go Canada. Sorry they didn't win the hockey. Toronto, Denmark, Finland. Oh my gosh, we're all over the world. Ontario, Canada, that's where I am right now. Poland, Mexico, UK, Amsterdam, Colorado, USA. Oh, somebody's from the Netherlands in Colorado. That's cool. Anyway, it's great. Thank you everybody for coming on. I really truly appreciate this. So let's just begin. We're going to be here for about just less than an hour, and we'll give you some more housekeeping items on how the week is going to shape up. But let's get started with today. So I really think I know that you, Nancy, all of you watching, me, you were designed to succeed, but a lot of us have been programmed to fail. And what you're going to discover this week is why all the things that you've tried maybe haven't worked. Maybe they've worked to some degree or to another. Maybe some things really worked and other things didn't. But fundamentally, I want to answer the question, why have you tried so hard and yet you still maybe get stuck or feel stuck, or maybe things aren't just happening the way you thought they were going to happen. I mean, that was definitely it was definitely me. And so what you're going to find out why you try so hard and still feel stuck. Number one is you've got to get it straight. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken, and you don't need fixing. And that's one of the themes of this week's 5 day reset. We really got to get that straight. Now, you might be doing some things wrong. You might be have been led in the wrong direction. You maybe weren't treated right, or you were treated the wrong way when you were younger growing up. But there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken, and you don't need fixing. And I don't know if you can relate to it. I felt that way. Is anybody here ever feel like you've tried to make your life better, but nothing seems to be giving you the answers you seek? Is anybody here like me? Anybody else here like that? I can't be the only one. If it is, type yes in the chat. Just let me know, because today's conversation is about the hidden problem. I'm going to reveal the hidden problem. It was hidden from me from a number of years. There was a lot of things hidden for a number of years that I was not even aware of. And of course, trying to pursue success and get ahead in life and, do a good job and help people in my work and my career. I was not only confused, but I was really frustrated. So if you ever tried making your life better, but nothing seems to be working, type yes in the chat. We have any yeses? Lots of yeses, right? All right. I got to be honest with you. I was saying to my team, my advocate team, and you're going to meet them. They're your guides here this week during the reset. They were posting their beautiful pictures and introductions inside the Facebook group. You'll meet them over there, and we'll tell you how to get over there if you're not there yet. And so all of these folks, what we call our reset guides this week, they're all clients. They've all gone through what I call the reset process. And in fact, the book is in many, many countries now and growing, and not by my account. The book that I wrote, I'll tell you about, it's been translated to several languages, and these were all people that had experienced what we're going to talk about over these 5 days. But I was talking this morning, and first off, I want to thank them. Thank you, all of our guides, and thank them in advance, folks, if you don't mind, because they're here all week to support you and guide you, talk to you if you want to talk to any of them, if you want to hear their perspective, their experience, if you just would like to connect with somebody that will understand kind of where you're at and some of the challenges you're facing. They're great people, and I want to thank them for being on the team. But we were talking before we open up here today, and I was talking about my reluctance and my reticence to talk about what was really on my heart and what's really been on my mind for quite a while. And I'm just like you. I have things that stop me and slow me down and roadblocks and challenges, and many I used to throw up in my own way. I still do, but the good news is I know how to get around them quickly. That's the big difference. But I'm glad to see that I'm on the right track with what we're talking about this week, and we got lots of feedback from online with what we're going to talk about today. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that I'm on the right track. So that feeling, trying hard, doing your best, but still wondering why life feels so challenging or heavier than it should. That's what today is about. And this week, as I said, isn't about, it's not about fixing you. It's about understanding what's been happening inside you, maybe for years. And that was me. And today, what I'm going to do is I want to reveal what I call the hidden problem. And as I said, it was hidden from me. It lay undiscovered for quite a long, long time. I was looking in all the wrong places, and I thought I was looking in the right places, but I was meeting roadblocks or dead ends, and I had to turn around and go in a different direction. So basically, the fundamental topic of today is there's too many people that think there's something wrong with their life. Now, some people don't. If you'd asked me, years back, was there anything wrong in my life? I probably would have said, well, I'm not happy with this, or I wish I could do that, or, it'd be great if this. And so I had those kinds of things, but I don't really think I would have said there was something wrong with my life. But definitely too many people think there's something wrong with them. And that was me. That was this dialogue, this feeling I was carrying around for most of my life. And it was paradoxical. It was a real contradiction because, as you'll hear, I became successful in business and financially. But yet I was having these feelings, these conversations, this heavy burden of what the hell is wrong with you, Doug? And that was my dialogue. So for me, listen, everything starts from the beginning when you arrived here when you were young. I've been around the psychology world and the personal development world and the therapy world and different things through my own personal experiences. And nobody wants to dredge up their past, and that's not what I do. We don't have to, you don't have to dredge up your past. I did, and I'm glad I did the way that I did it. But I was lucky. I found somebody that knew how to do it the right way where I wouldn't get lost or stuck. But every problem in your life starts in the beginning when you arrived here and depends on how you were treated. So for me, I got placed into a violent alcoholic home as a 6-month-old baby. I didn't know about safety growing up. I wasn't calm. I was scared. I didn't really know what it felt like to be just a kid. I mean, there was glimmers of that, playing with my friends and friends, in my neighborhood and friends at school. But those were highlights. That was not the norm for me. The norm for me was really, really dark. And the worst things that happened to me, they weren't even in my memory. That was a strange part. They were blocked out until I was 40 years old. And I didn't walk around thinking this happened to me. I was walking around feeling anxious, ashamed, not good enough, different for sure. Had a real hard time trying to fit into different situations. And I thought those feelings meant there was something wrong with me. That was you pick up these through these experiences when you're young. You experience what's called toxic stress. And all these feelings of shame, anxiety, not good enough, just not feeling right, feel something was wrong. Those feelings must have meant the message I got, there must be something wrong with me. And I don't know about you, but have you ever felt bad about yourself, but you didn't really know why? Just type one in the chat. I want to hear from people as we go through this. Have you ever felt bad about yourself, but you didn't really know why? You couldn't really put your finger on it. Something was missing, and maybe you had the same question as me, like, what's wrong with me? Because when you go through these experiences, and you end up living with the physical and emotional side effects, I call them. And there's good news to that. I'll tell you about that later. But of course, when you're feeling off, it shows up in your nervous state, your physical state, your emotional state. You can feel how it feels, and it can feel heavy, and it can feel dark, and you got to live with these things. And so maybe Yeah, lots of ones. That's what I figured, right? So what what I would talk about is that you don't have to have a story like mine either to understand that feeling. So a lot of people that know me, or they got my book, or when I went public with my story. You don't have to have a story like mine to still have that feeling. You could have been brought up in a wonderful home with wonderful parents, but you still have that feeling. And that would be really even more confusing. I think I probably uh, I'm less confused because I have an understanding of what happened to me than if I just grown up in a nice, happy family and I still felt that way. But I've talked to thousands of people since I've been doing this work, and that is definitely an underlying tone or theme. People go, like, my life is okay, but I just don't feel fulfilled, or everything's okay, but there's something missing, or I just don't know. I just can't pinpoint it, you know? And those feelings, they start out when you were young, and then they follow you into adulthood. So I had this memory discovery, I call it. What I thought was my rock bottom was actually only my first rock bottom, and it came in 1999. My marriage had failed. I had wrecked it like all of my relationships prior. Another failure, another moment where I felt shame and guilt and confusion. And so I took the natural next step, and I went to counseling. And that's when something surfaced that really shocked me. I remember sitting down with Ellen, is her name. And when I sat down in her office, of course, she starts the usual questions that therapists and counselors ask. And I'd been through therapy and counseling for all my other previous problems throughout my adult life. And I thought, oh, here we go again. Same thing, same question, same outcome. But Ellen was different. And she started asking me some questions about my background. And it was the way that she asked the questions. And then she suggested an idea to me that nobody else had said anything about. She said, "I think there's abuse in your background." I said, "No, I don't think so. I mean, I remember my parents drank and stuff, and they would fight once in a while, but yeah, I don't really think that's the case." She said, "Well, given the answers to your background, Doug, and given the answers that you've given me as it relates to your marriage breaking down, I think there's some information." In the past, and you might want to go gather up the facts. And so when I did, something surfaced that really, really shocked me. And it was this dark story of child abuse and sexual abuse. It had emerged, which explained, of course, why I was feeling the way I was feeling about myself all those years. But I had blocked it out for decades. But I lived with the feelings from it. So up until I'm almost 40 years old, I'm succeeding in business, and I'm doing pretty well. And in the city I lived in, I was well known because I was a local businessman, and I was involved in the community. And outwardly I looked like I had it all together, but inwardly I had all these feelings that I had accumulated and collected and began to live with all these years. And so, of course, when this story came out, things started to add up and make sense. So when those memories came back, then my life suddenly made a lot more sense. But here's what didn't change. Okay. I now had an understanding of why I was doing some of the things I was doing. So for me specifically, my biggest challenge was relationships. Um, and it was a real inner conflict and contradiction that produced so much guilt and shame because I was so honest in every area of my life. In fact, some people would say, Doug, you're almost too honest. I was a very honest business person. I was very honest, in the community. I was very honest with my friends, but in relationships, I just couldn't be. I was so afraid to tell the truth, or so afraid you might find out the truth about who I am and who I'm not. And so that was where I struggled. And naturally, growing up in my home, what my parents were like, I mean, they were both alcoholics, they were both philanderers. I mean, my model of relationships was really, really broken. But what didn't change after all that information, and I had police reports, I had social worker reports, I had all this data and information, facts that I had collected, I still end up believing that something was wrong with me. There was still must be something wrong with me, in spite of those things that weren't really my fault at all. So when my investigation was complete and I had all the facts, I uncovered a failed adoption, which landed me in a violent alcoholic family from 6 month old baby. So I was given up for foster care at birth and then adopted at 6 months. And so from 6 month old baby to a 13-year-old boy, I endured years of adverse childhood experiences, including physical abuse, emotional neglect, witnessing violence and alcoholism and mental illness. My mom was into the hospital for her own mental illness. She went through rounds of shock treatment. She was on pills, watching the violence between my father and my mother towards each other. They were both violent. It wasn't just my dad abusing my mom, it was both ways. And so this is the environment that I grew up in. And then I kicked my mom out of the house, picked my mom out of the house, carried her outside, and called the police. And the police arrested her and took her away. And that was at 13. And so then at 13, with mom gone and dad broken, I'm free to run the streets. And I got seduced and groomed by a ring of pedophiles, and I was sexually abused for 2 years until it ended with my kidnapping at 15. And so naturally, from then on, I struggle with emotional problems, health problems, skin problems, gut problems. And of course, the story explained why I'd struggled in life personally and professionally and why I was wrecking my relationships. Now, listen, when you're young, you don't really question the world. You don't really have a lot of personal power to question the world. I mean, for me, if I went against the drunken rules, I called them, if I went against the rules, I got in a lot of trouble. And so I was just trying to stay out of trouble and trying to stay out of harm's way. But it doesn't matter where you grow up. When you're young, you don't really question the world, but you do begin to question yourself. And that starts at an early age. If you've had children, I have a 23-year-old daughter now who's doing wonderfully well and thriving. And I remember her when she was young, coming home and, with hurt and confusion. Maybe she was teased or criticized or bullied or whatever. And all she really wanted to know was who am I and how do I fit in? And a lot of parents and adults just aren't capable to answer that question. And so you don't question the world, but you do question yourself. And so for me, the belief that something was wrong, I mean, that followed me everywhere, into relationships, into work, into success, into everyday life. And again, by all accounts, by comparison, to people where I lived and worked and people I know. By comparison, I was considered successful, and that was the real conflict. And it was really hard for me actually to even kind of accept my success, or even I think take compliments forward. I was always kind of a little bit sheepish, and you give me a compliment, kind of go, yeah, thanks. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin or comfortable with what I had accomplished. Um, I don't know about you, but I was just carrying this emotional burden, and I just could not explain it. And just on and on and on again through all the counseling and through all the therapy, all those years because of that story, I just could not seem to explain this burden I was carrying. Now, so there was success that I was experiencing, but there was this inner reality. After the investigation, so I interviewed police officers. I interviewed the detective that came to my home after I was returned home from the kidnapping at 15. I interviewed social workers. I got my birth records from my birth parents and my birth mom, and I met her, my birth mom's family members. I found siblings. I found four other siblings. My birth mom had six kids with four different men. Her first child died at a very young age of 1 year old, and then she had five more children. And I found those four other kids, a brother, two half sisters, and then a younger half brother. So I got all this information together, and through this investigation, and as I was gathering the information and working with Ellen, and she was helping me to like guide me and navigate me through this. And what was interesting, it was very emotional, but it was also very empowering at the same time. And what Ellen did so well is she kept me emotionally neutral and objective. In other words, she got me to kind of be like this investigator and observer. And literally, I was this investigator. I was investigating and gathering all this facts and information. And also, and you might relate to this. Type yes in the chat if you've ever read the book, The Four Agreements. I mean, that book literally saved my life. Ellen said, if you want to work with me, you have to read this book. And so I began to read it, and I'm sure I've read that book probably 50 times. It's just a little book. And I'm sure that many of you have heard about it. And what I did is she said, you got to practice these four agreements, Doug, while you're going through this process. So be impeccable with your word, be really choose your words well, especially towards yourself, Doug, she said. Don't take anything personally. And so that really helped me a lot, regardless of what had happened to me, what I experienced, what I was learning had happened to me that I blocked out. I was practicing not taking it personally. The third one, don't make assumptions, big one, and because it would have been easy, and I was making assumptions, but I kept practicing not making assumptions. And lastly, the fourth agreement was always do your best. And so each day, as I moved through this process, I just had to do my best. So I got so inspired. I decided to write my story because I wanted to show others how they could break free from the effects of child abuse. I went public with my story in 2021. It appeared in national newspapers and on television. And I was invited to speak and share my story with audiences. You're watching on YouTube right now. If you're interested, there's a video back from 2001, and I was on a television show. And the broadcaster, the interviewer, Paula Todd is her name, just a lovely, lovely person, and she just did such an impeccable job with the interview, and it's still on my YouTube. I leave it there, hoping that if somebody comes across it and hears that story back in 2001 after I'd gone public, I'm hoping, and even today's story, I'm hoping that you won't compare your story to mine, because my story is no worse than yours. It's all relative. But I do hope that maybe my story and relative to where I am now and what I've been able to do, maybe that will give you some hope. And I often hear that from clients. They hear my story, they go, Doug, I figured, geez, if you went through that and you can do this, then they have a bit more hope and belief in themselves, and they trust me more. And that's what I need from people. I need people to be able to trust me. So I went public with the story, and it was on the front page of the national newspaper on a Saturday morning. And I remember getting home that day, and I had a flood of emails in my inbox. A lot of people just, congratulating me and thanking me. I was really scared and nervous because, I mean, this is right across Canada, and all my business colleagues and all my, people in my city were going to hear about this because I was not telling anybody about this story as I was putting the investigation together. So, needless to say, I was anxious and nervous and scared and excited. But the feedback that came back, there was some haters, like you always get that. But for the most part, most of the people were thankful for speaking up, and they said, like, I can relate, and they would start to tell me their stories, and then I was speaking at schools and companies and police organizations. I mean, anybody that would saw the story would ask me to speak. I would go anywhere to speak and tell the story, hoping that maybe I could show people a hope and a path out of their emotional prison. And so that's what I did from 2001. And then again, years later, it's 2012. My life looked good from the outside, but there was still things going on the inside. And so in 2013, I kind of stumbled into the personal development world, and I started working with the legendary Bob Proctor. I'm sure many of you heard of Bob. He's always known as the white-haired guy with the tan suit in the movie The Secret. And he was known all over the world in the personal development space. And Bob's focus was was prosperity and wealth and helping people learn how to think and do better in their life. And so I got into a coaching program as a client, and then I started working with Bob. And so from the outside, again, it looked like I had made it. But honestly, the inside, I still felt like a fraud. I felt like an imposter. I'd wake up anxious still. I didn't sleep well. I was nervous around people. I mean, it was one thing to be around people in my city at the time, which was about 100,000. But then to be around people all over the world, then it got really uncomfortable. And so I was nervous around people. I overthought everything. I'd lie in my bed anxious before starting my day. And then I get in the shower and I'd rehearse my conversations, what to say, how to sound confident, how not to be exposed. And then I'd show up smiling while feeling like I was pretending. And so I don't, can you guys relate to that? Have you ever felt like you're acting out your life or pretending instead of living it, or pretending, struggling, straining, trying to be somebody you're not? Type yes in the chat if that's you. Um, Hopefully there's one of you here with me today. I hope I'm not alone. I'm sure that I'm not. But that's what was going on. Yeah. Well, what I thought was my first rock bottom, or my rock bottom was my first, then my second rock bottom hit. And so it was 2015, and another failed marriage after 14 years, another failure, more guilt, more shame. I felt like a hypocrite because on one hand, I was this poster boy and star for Bob Proctor, and Bob, brought me up on stage to talk to the audience and tell my story of, where I came from and to where I was working with him. But here I'm working with Bob Proctor. I'm in this work, and yet I screw up my marriage, and I get seduced by the attention I was getting. And inside, I'm insecure and I'm feeling like an imposter. I'm feeling like a fraud. And like I said, I always woke up anxious, didn't sleep well. I was journaling daily, trying to clear up the confusion and frustration. I was doing all the self-help steps I was taught that I was teaching, affirmations, visualizations, gratitude, studying all the books I was told to study, going to seminars, going to retreats. I mean, you name it. I was doing everything that I was told that I should do that would solve this problem, that I could find peace of mind and I could find wealth and health and well-being and healthy, happy relationships. This promise. I was really worried about what other people thought of me. 'Cause I had to get on calls and meetings, and I had to pretend I had it all together. I was constantly under stress. I was worried what Bob thought of me and my results. I wasn't getting the results I was promised or what was promised to clients, and so I felt like I wasn't really being completely honest. I remember Bob, he said, Doug, don't you believe in what we teach? And I'd say, of course I do. But I didn't fully because it wasn't transpiring into results for me. And I couldn't figure it out. I felt lost, confused, frustrated, hopeless. I was angry at myself, asking, what the hell's wrong with you, Doug? How could you be so freaking stupid? Because I was still making mistakes and I still wasn't achieving what I wanted to achieve. And so I became more tired, more stressed. My skin was flaring up. We're going to do an action step later, and what I'll do is I'm going to drop a picture into the Facebook group. I'll show you a before and after photo of me before getting into personal development and after getting into personal development. And there's a picture of me. My face is like fully inflamed and red with rosacea. I mean, my gut health got worse, my skin got worse. And in fact, I felt like I was actually doing worse when I should have actually been doing better. I perspired when I was around people. I was exhausted, overthinking, ruminating, and just searching and straining and striving and struggling to try to find the answers. What the hell is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Of course, I felt hopeless, lonely and lost, and I wasn't alone. I mean, there was people in my life that cared about me, and people that saw more in me and that were encouraging me and doing their best to befriend me and different things like that. But internally, I was definitely very lonely and definitely very lost. So for 20 years plus, I tried everything, books, courses, mentors, therapy. I mean, you name it, I did it. Hypnotherapy, Reiki therapy, massage therapy. I mean, cranial sacral therapy. I mean, I've done it all. The only thing I did not do, and I'm glad I didn't, and I know for some it is needed, but I just refuse to take medications, despite all the depression and anxiety and the bouts of darkness that I would endure, sometimes for days at a time, sometimes weeks at a time, sometimes even months at a time. Um, and everything I tried, I thought, okay, maybe this is it. Each time I thought maybe this will fix me. I had a friend of mine who was a hypnotherapist, and he was a good friend, and he knew my whole story, and he supported me. Just a remarkable guy, and he did hypnotherapy. Well, maybe Renee could help me. Maybe this will fix me, but nothing did. In fact, I just ended up feeling actually more confused, more tired, more ashamed, and again kept asking that one question. What's that question I kept asking? Are you asking that? I kept going, what's wrong with me? And so, listen, emotionally, I struggled. I cried. I joke a lot. I called it my Sarah McLachlan year. There was a year where, on a Friday or Saturday night, I'd light some candles, have a glass of wine, turn on Sarah McLachlan, and I would just cry. That was called my Sarah year. There's another year called my Eeyore year, where I was walking around. Uh, People are asking me, "How you doing, Doug?" "Oh, I'm fine. I'm okay." Sounded like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. I was embarrassed, lonely, but I kept going. I kept going because there was something inside me that still believed life could feel different. And I think um, uh, people ask me, like, how did you go through what you've just described? How did you endure it, number one? And how did you not only survive it, but thrive after it? And I've actually now thrived from it. I'm very grateful for what I went through. God made me go through that, and God made me experience that so I could help other people like you. So I don't know, maybe that's why you're here. Maybe this drew you, that maybe what I said I was going to talk about for these next few days would maybe possibly be the answer. And like you, I mean, like me, I was hopping around all over the place trying to figure this all out. And of course, 2013 through 2022, almost 10 years. It was very confusing. I was really confused because on one hand, I'd landed this position with Bob Proctor, and everybody like you work for Bob Proctor. Bob and I became friends, and I ran his coaching division for his company, and I mean that was such an amazing period and such an amazing gift. But you think, why would I still, on the other hand, not like myself and still have embarrassment and shame and these negative emotions? Why would I still be questioning that there's something wrong with me in spite of all the evidence in what I had accomplished and what I was creating? Um, I tried to follow the products and the programs our company offered, but it wasn't working for me. And worse, it wasn't working for others. So I couldn't get it to work for me. And I couldn't really get it to work for others. It worked for some, but not many. And so that was a real problem for me. And I felt guilty about that. I felt uncomfortable. It was my job to help our clients, other coaches succeed, but many of them didn't. I remember flying to events in LA with Bob on his private jet, and I'd end up spending my breaks and my lunches hiding in my hotel room because I was just in such inner conflict. And again, I continued speaking to counselors and mentors, trying to sort out my confusion and all this second guessing. Again, all kinds of therapy, but the more I did, the more I went searching for these answers in all of these different ways and these different paths and with these different people. Things didn't get better. My skin got worse, and the worse I felt. I was so frustrated, wondering why couldn't I solve my problems? Why wasn't I doing better like I thought I was supposed to? second guessing and the worrying about what others thought of me. I mean, that really kept me stuck in fear and hiding. I was really sensitive to what other people would think about me. I would wonder, what are you thinking about me? What are you saying about me? I'd wonder what you thought of me after what I said. I'd be ruminating later in my mind. I'd play out what I had said or how I'd interacted with somebody and wondering, making all these assumptions in spite of the four agreements. I still would succumb to these assumptions because of all this inner conflict. And some days, many days, I asked myself, what am I doing? And I wanted to quit, but I would not give up. Bob gave me a lot of things. One of them, we talked about this a lot. He said, Doug, he said, quitting was just never an option for me. He goes, it was extremely difficult for many, many years in the work that I did, but giving up was never an option. And I made my mind up that regardless of how much I was suffering and struggling and just the difficulties that I had to live with, both the physical and emotional um, discomfort, dis-ease. That I'm not a quitter, and I also, luckily for me, I knew I was smart enough, and I had prior success that kept me going. So it was interesting. I would have said I was actually more successful in my mind before personal development. And although I was financially more successful post personal development, I would say I felt less successful during that period. But there was this light in this dark tunnel, and there was a light in me that flickered and would not go out. And I hope that you still see that light in you. It's there. It can't be extinguished. I suppose the only way it can be extinguished is when you leave this earth. But there's a flicker in you. There's a flame. There's light in you, regardless of how dark things may be or how dark your situation is or was, or you're worried it might become. Okay, I really want you to pay attention to that little flicker, and that's what kept me going. And so here was the big turning point. Something happened. Bob Proctor passed away. It was February 2022. And although I wasn't there at Bob's bedside, I was working with his son and his wife, and they were there. And Bob was gone, and then we were asked to record a video there was a memorial that was first a private memorial in Toronto with friends and family and colleagues, and then a public memorial. And we were asked to record a video of the impact Bob had on me. And for the first time, Bob left. And for the first time, I didn't have anybody to lean on. I was on my own and I had to stand on my own. And what I said in that video is what Bob taught me how to let go. Because when he left, I had to let go. And that was the greatest lesson that I ever got. And Bob used to tell me, go, Doug, just let it go. Just let it go. And Bob, it's not that easy. He goes, Doug, it's so easy. It's so simple. It's almost too simple to even understand or comprehend. You're making it way too hard on yourself. And I argue with him. He was wrong. And of course, after he was gone, I found out that he was right. I became a lot less afraid because I didn't have to hold back now. I could finally do my own thing. I love Bob, and I was so grateful for everything he did for me. But during those times, I was really holding back from speaking up, standing up, showing up the way that I wanted to. And I'd been secretly reading my book or writing my book, pardon me, because I didn't trust anybody with my thoughts. So I was accumulating content. Somebody asked me yesterday. I never intended to write a book early on, but for some reason I started a Word document and I started making up chapters, writing chapter titles, and that started to frame the book. And every chapter title was about an experience that I had talking to somebody like you. So I would sit down with you, and I was there to try to help you, from my experiences and through your story and what you were challenged with. Of course, I could relate, and so I started to put this together. And then what was interesting when I sat down to actually write the book after Bob had passed, something strange happened. It was easy. Everything just made sense. People go, isn't it hard writing a book? I go, it was so easy. I just sat down and it just all came out. After years of confusion, it felt simple. It was so clear to me what the solution was that I could offer. I remember when I handed the manuscript into the publisher, and it goes through a couple rounds of editing. The first round is called the structural editor, so they want to take a look at how you structured the book and its flow and all that. And I get on a call with the editor after his first read. He goes, did you write this? I go, yeah, why? Because this is really good. He goes, I don't really have any real structural changes at all. I said, oh wow, that's good. But because I had a design in mind. I understood what I learned from Bob is I understand how the mind works and how to change one's mind in a very, very simple way. I was doing it the hard way. And so I built the book that way. And I take people through this reset and these 5 days. I built it this way, knowing how I can change your mind. And then the editor got the book. The person like does the fine tooth editing and same thing. Both these people worked for the company, but they didn't usually talk. They were in different parts of the country. And the editor comes on a call with his assistant. He goes, "Did you write this yourself?" I go, "Yeah." It's a really good book. Now, it was interesting. I told him we had a good laugh. Um, I quit high school 3 times. I have no degrees, but I have a real strong degree of experience. I kept quitting high school because I felt so uncomfortable going to school, and I only made it into a grade 10 English class. I got enough credits to go into some grade 10 classes, and Mr. Feeney, my English teacher, I only completed 1 semester, but I thought, isn't that amazing? I was able to write this remarkable book, and it really is a remarkable book. I can say that now. I couldn't have said that a few years ago when it first came out because I was nervous and scared. But here I was able to put together this book. It just all came together. I just figured it all out. It's like a puzzle. All the pieces fell into place. The confusion was gone, and I could see how simple this was, and how I'd made it so hard. For me, the answer was there all along, but I didn't trust it. I certainly didn't trust it through those years where I was second guessing myself. It's interesting. Maybe you can relate. Tell me if you can relate to this. Do you ever get a sense that you're on track, but you're not sure you are? Like you doubt yourself. Like you go, no, I really think I'm on the right track, but then you still second guess yourself. Just type in a 2 if you're a second guesser. Okay? Not a first guesser, but a second guesser. And that was me. Okay? But it all kind of came together, and I didn't trust it yet because after all my years of pain and struggle, success and failure, attempt after attempt, um, I just couldn't believe that it could click so easily, but it did. And when it did, then I started to feel calmer and confident. And it's like I had the answer all along. I was right the whole time. And I think back now of 20 years of suffering and struggling and doubting and ruminating and overthinking and analyzing and journaling and second guessing and talking and on and on and on and on. And I was on the right track the whole time. And so for me, hope and inspiration came. My why returned. That was another thing. I was searching for my calling, trying to find my purpose, and I realized you don't search for your calling. Don't try to find your purpose. Your calling and your purpose finds you. And the reason that you haven't found it and it hasn't found you is probably because you're pretending to be somebody that you're not. And so when I was able to be myself, that's where the hope and inspiration came. The why, the purpose, the calling. And I knew I was on the right track. And because I could see it so simply and clearly, I could show others how simple real transformation can be. And if you talk to any of the guides, you talk to anybody I've worked with, they'll tell you how simple this transformation can be. Renew your mind. And my hardest job, and I get a lot of flack for it, people give me a hard time. They go, it can't be that simple. And I understand because if you told me how simple it could be, like Bob Proctor was telling me that I would not accept, right? I couldn't accept the idea that it was simple. And my hardest job working with people, I always say, I said, you got the easy job. Working with me is easy. I give you directions and instructions on what to do to clear all this up. And you just got to do what I tell you to do. I'm the one that's got the hard job because I got to convince you how simple and easy this really is. A lot of people say, I can't believe it happened in 30 days. And then, of course, the other people, the skeptics and the naysayers, and the people like me who struggled and strived and strayed for 20 years, the critics, and I would have been one of those critics. I would have said, yeah, easier said than done, because I tried hard for all kinds of things and nothing really seemed to change. And so I built this book as a remedy. I built this reset process as a formula, a prescription, and I designed it all with the experience I'd accumulated along the way. I always say, like Bob said, none of this information is mine. None of this information, I've just organized it in a way because I didn't know at the time, all that confusion and all the suffering and reading and all the pain that I had caused and carried around, I was investigating and discovering, and I forgot how intelligent I was. And it was my intelligence that really brought it all together for me because like I said, I wasn't going to quit. I was earnest. I was going to figure this out. And not just for me, not just for me. In fact, for me was actually secondary. I wanted to figure this out for me so I could help you because still today I have people that hear my story or they see that article or they see that interview and they go, Doug, can you help me? And you're going to meet some of them this week. And so for me, suddenly my suffering became worth the price I had paid. Feedback on the book and how it was helping others confirm how effectively I designed it. My heart became started to fill with hope, joy, and determination that I could actually become a hero in my own story, but also a hero for others. I wanted to be a hero in my own story, and I wanted to be a hero for others, not for ego, not for fame, not for money, nothing like that at all. I just want to be the guy. I was always a walk the talk guy in my business. I would try to figure out how to achieve something, and then I would do it, and then I was asked to show other people how to do it. So I've always been this guy that kind of leads the charge and tries to figure out the challenges and then show other people how to do it. And like me and maybe like you, all heroes start out weak and afraid, but they pursue what's on their heart. And despite the setbacks and the challenges, despite the enemies that they face, they pursue the mark and try to win the day in their story. And I hope that's what you'll consider after today and as we go through this week. For me, my mistaken identity, that's the name of my book, my mistaken identity fell away and my true authentic self began to emerge. And now life is just so much easier because I can be myself. And now I'm on this global mission to free people from their emotional prison and the past has been holding them back. And maybe you're like me, maybe it's been all blocked out. Maybe you remember it, but there's definitely things, uh, information, data, facts from your past that will explain what's going on. And I always leave people with, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. And I hope you'll let me show you how I did it so you can do it too. And over the course of these days, I want to give you as much of that as I can in the time we've got. And so that's where I'm going to stop today because tomorrow I'm going to tell you what I discovered. I'll show you what I changed. I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, and I'll explain why you keep going backwards even when you're trying hard, or maybe it's two step forward, three steps back. You're going to see where you went wrong, not because you failed, okay, but because you were solving the wrong problem. You'll stop second guessing yourself. You'll finally be able to see what's actually been holding you back. And you'll begin, hopefully, moving from hopeless to hopeful and from feeling stuck to feeling free. I want to open up a door. Some people have called my book like a key to the cell of your prison door, or the key to the cell door in your emotional prison. So I'm going to open this door. Now, I can't get you to come out. Um, Years ago, I had the door open for me many, many times, but my back was up against the wall, and I was more comfortable in the prison I was in that I made for myself than to step out because I just did not know who I was, and I certainly didn't believe in myself or trust myself. So I'm going to try to explain all this over these coming days. And so here's what I want you to take with you today. You didn't fail, okay? You were trying to solve a problem that you didn't understand. And that's why nothing's worked. That's why you're having these struggles. Okay? So we're going to give you an action step, and I'm going to wrap up here. You're going to find on the portal, hopefully you've bookmarked the portal. I dropped that link in the YouTube video earlier. It's in your inbox. Get to the portal, bookmark it, because that's where you're going to get all the replays and everything. There's just one place you have to go. You go to the portal to get everything like that. So we're going to put an action step up for you. And for the next 24 hours, I want you to just stop trying to fix yourself, even if it's just in your mind. Okay. I just want you to notice what you're saying to yourself and how you're judging yourself. Okay. And I want you to be what I call an intellectual third party observer. I just want you to step out of yourself and observe some of the things that you're thinking and some of the things that you're saying and some of the things that you're worrying about. And rather than judging yourself, I just want you to say, maybe I've been solving the wrong problem. Maybe it's not me. Maybe there is nothing wrong with me. Maybe I've just been doing things wrong or working on the wrong problem. I think a lot of people are misdiagnosed in what their real troubles are. So let me show you the worksheet real quick here, and then we'll wrap it up. Second here. Where is my worksheet? All right, here you go. Okay, we're gonna post this worksheet into on the portal or link on the portal. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the portal and there'll be an action step, and that link will take you inside our Facebook group, and we will post this action step and this PDF there so you can print it, download it, or just work on it in your own journal. So the action step today is I want you to reveal the hidden problem. All right, so you've been labeled with problems. You may have been labeled or maybe labeled yourself as having weaknesses, limitations. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a list of the problems that you have that hinder your success. For example, I'm indecisive. I can't stay focused. I procrastinate. I'm stuck. I just keep putting things off. I can't make a decision. I'm second guessing. Okay. Just what are all the labels? You know, like a name tag, you go to a little event, hi, my name is, and they stick a label on you. So what are some of those labels? Okay. So just write those out. And then what I want you to ask yourself, how do you feel about yourself because you have or you wear these labels? So you've got indecisive and I'm not focused and I'm nervous around people and I sweat all the time. I mean, all these labels, all these words or descriptors about you. And then how do you feel about it, right? So for me, I mean, I was embarrassed, I was frustrated, I was anxious, I was pissed off, I was just thought I'm just not good enough. And so these labels make you feel a certain way. So we just want to identify some of the mental junk that's going on inside of you. And then I want you to review what you wrote in steps 1 and 2, and then ask yourself, are these facts or are they your opinion or someone else's opinion? So just look what you write down for day 1 and 2, okay? And then write down, take a look, is this fact or is this opinion? So I want you to remember these labels don't define who you are. They're not personality traits, okay? They're just beliefs. Even though you have circumstantial evidence that they might be true, it does not define who you are. We're going to be talking a lot about identity this week because it's your identity, it's your image, it's your view of you, your opinion of you that's actually causing most of your problems. Okay, and so we're going to send you to the portal. You'll get an email every day after each day, and we'll link you back to the portal. We'll link you into doing the action step. And so go in there, fill it out, and then what we want you to do is we want you to comment in the Facebook. You'll see the instructions there, and I want you to comment on what came up for you. And we're going to be having some fun, giving some things away. So anybody that engages with the action step and comments in the Facebook group, you're going to go into a draw and we're going to give away a signed copy of my book. So before we end today, I want you to hear this really clearly, and then my friend Rad is going to wrap us up for the day. All right, number one, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? You're not broken, you're not weak, you're not behind, no matter where you are or where you've been. You did the best you could with what you understood at the time. The problem was never that you weren't trying hard enough. The problem is you were trying to solve something you didn't understand. And when you don't understand the real problem, then every solution feels like a failure. So tonight, don't fix yourself. Don't push harder. Just notice the voice in your head that says something is wrong with you, and then gently question it. Is that a fact or is that an opinion? And tomorrow, I'm going to show you what I discovered after all those years of confusion, and you'll finally see what's been happening inside of you, and I'll show you how I did it. And when you see it, something's going to shift. You don't have to force change. It actually begins to come naturally and gradually. You're not a problem to be fixed, folks, okay? You're a person to be understood. And I'll see you tomorrow. Rad, that is it for me. I'm going to take these people home and I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rad Molida. I'm one of the members of the guiding team here, working with Doug. Very first thing, thank you very much, Doug. That was absolutely incredible. I think it's inspiring and informative, and every one of us will take a lot from that. Now, that question, what's wrong with me? What's broken? That was something I was struggling with, I remember. And it's been almost all my life. And specifically, I could relate to what Doug's just said regarding the relationships. And in my particular case, it was the relationships with women. And I don't mean romantic aspect in particular. It's basically been just daily contact with women of all age, my school pals, my workmates, just random people I met in my life, and you can see where I am now here in the community, that the vast majority of it is made up of women, and Doug mentioned that the people always wonder that the process of 30 days long might not really work for you. I'm a living example. Honestly, I'm speaking to women now. Definitely. That's one thing, not the only one, but certainly one of the most important aspects of my change, my transformation. So, wrapping up, thank you very much for attending tonight and for joining us at the meeting. This is only just the beginning of the journey, the week's journey. I'm sure, I hope you all found the meeting and Doug's presentation very inspiring, something that's now entering your minds and your heart. Put that everything you learned today to work, do the exercise, and be sure to come back tomorrow. Tomorrow's session is titled The Big Con, the self-help lie. And on that second day, you'll understand why progress never seems to stick. Just when things improve, something pulls you back, just like that rubber band. You can pull hard, stretch, add effort, do whatever you can actually, and something yanks you back in place again. So you'll discover what really blocks you, and it's not what you think. There's something else. Tomorrow, Doug will share with you exactly what he did to finally break from the trap, from his emotional prison. And I can only just encourage you now to leave your comments. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on WhatsApp. Share that one thing that really stood out for you and why. And be sure to join our WhatsApp community. This is probably the place where all the announcements and reminders will be going, and probably the most, the fastest way, the quickest way to find out what's to come. And this is also the place where you find all our guides there. So please connect, interact. We are ready there to assist, to answer your questions. Join our Facebook group as well. Meet others there. Be for one another. Just share your opinions, what inspires you today, and your impressions. And see you tomorrow. Doug Dane, they're all yours again.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.